All right, so this is our first mini lesson for lesson 1-1. Let me just show you a couple different things. This eyeball up here says visual learning because this is considered, according to Envision, the visual learning bridge, the VLB. So there is a video on the Envision website that goes along with this, and I can tag it into your Schoology. But I kind of like to be more personal and show you my version of the video, and it kind of helps you, learn some tips and tricks along the way. So when I'm done going through this problem, then you'll be required, let me move my stuff around, you'll be required to do the convince me. If you can convince me that you understood the lesson and you can show me this, and it's right, or show somebody, whoever the checker is in the room for this day, then you can move on to guided practice and independent practice. So I've already wasted a minute talking. Let's get to work. So how can you, I don't want to have my face up here the whole time. How can you explain patterns in the number of zeros in a product? That is my essential question. And here's the problem to help model this skill. Tamara's new horse weighs about 1,000 pounds. How can you show 1,000 as a power of 10 using an exponent? So here's some new words for us. The exponent is the number that tells how many times a base number is used as a factor. So here's Tamara's horse, about 1,000 pounds. We're going to focus in on this box here. So if I want to write 1,000 as a product using 10 as a factor, I know that I can break down 1,000, which we kind of talked about in the solve and share. It has 3 zeros. So this is really equal to 10 times 10 times 10. So the factor 10 is being used 3 times. So I can rewrite my 10 as the base, and since it's being used 3 times, it can be 10 to the power of 3. Now, when I say 10 to the power of 3, the little tiny number 3 is actually called an exponent. And I know that kids get the word exponent and power kind of mixed up, but they can be used interchangeably a bit to understand how this power, the 3, the exponent, is used 3 times to get to 1,000. So the exponent 3, that the base number 10 is multiplied 3 times. Here's a misconception. It is not 30, okay? It is not ever going to be 30. It's 10 3 times, not 3 times 10. So remember, 10 times 10 times 10 equals 10 to the 3rd power, which is equal to 1,000. Here's another way that you can look at it. If I said that Tamara estimates that her horse will eat about 5,000 pounds of hay each year, how can you write 5,000 using exponents? So not 1,000, but 5,000. So if I have a digit out front, or if I have a number other than 1, I have to factor that in. So here I can do 5 times 10, which we know is 50, but really that's 5 times 10 to the 1st power. 5 times 10 to the 2nd power is like saying 5 times 10 times 10, which is equal to 5 times 100, which is equal to 500. And 5 times 10 to the 3rd power is the same thing as 5 times 10 times 10 times 10, which is equal to 5 times 1,000. So that is equal to 5,000. Now, the good news is with this, you don't really have to think about multiplication because we're dealing with zeros. There is a pattern. Remember our central question. Can you explain patterns in the number of zeros in a product? Yes, I can. The number of zeros in the product is the same as the exponent. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. So if I told you, let me squeeze it here, 5 times 10 to the 5th power, you would just say, okay, I can do this. It's just a 5 times 10 to the 5th power, which means I'm going to have 5 zeros. And remember, all numbers have commas. When they get too long, it helps us read the number. So I'm going to move backwards 3, put in my comma, and now I can read that as 500,000. All right, your job is to do the convince me and make sure you understand, like legit. You need to convince me that you understand and you're ready to move on to guided practice. So the question is, what pattern do you notice in the number of zeros in the products of box C above? I did tell you the answer. The answer is included in box C, but I just want you to convince me that you understand and are on the right track.